Today, I have not a one, a two, a three, but a sixth generation entrepreneur. It is an honor and a pleasure to have Dinika with us, founder of Nutty Gritties and doing some really big stuff. So how did the name Nutty Gritty actually come about?
Spent a couple of hours brainstorming, and then I was like, we need to get into the nitty gritty of the product. And then that was a light bulb moment. We were the first premium packaged nuts brand trying to do flavors and trail mixes. COVID hit, and we had the right products at the right place at the right time.
So is data and analytics and AI playing a big role as well?
I think that all our decisions are backed by data.
One brand collab that's still on your wish list.
I'd love to collaborate with Lululemon.
Walk us through what's coming up next at Nutty Gritties.
We are in the process of building a new plant right now with almost 5 times the capacity. We're looking at doing 100 crores this year.
Lovely.
So 500 crores is the next milestone after that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Chat with GB. Today, I have not a one, a two, a three, but a sixth generation entrepreneur, someone who has been in the business as a family for 140 years. Think D2C, think B2B, think B2C. They have crushed them all. And it is an honor and a pleasure to have Dinika with us. Dinika, founder of Nutty Gritties and doing some really big stuff. And this is one conversation I'm really looking forward to, because if you are looking at building a brand, this episode is your playbook to making that happen. Dinika, welcome to Let's Chat with GB.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here and share my journey with you.
Yeah, awesome. And I've been following your journey and like seeing the things that you've been doing over the last, over now a decade and a half. Mm-hmm. So, great to see what's really happening. So take me back to the time when you were like maybe 6 or 8 and you knew this is what you wanted to do, right? Which is so rare because people often struggle. I mean, today I have, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who still haven't figured out what they want to do despite having a legacy business, but you just knew that this is what it is for you, right?
I think I got very lucky and I was born in the right family, the right place at the right time. And I had great role models around me in the form of my father and my grandfather. We actually grew up in a joint family, and I really looked up to the way that my grandfather built the business. My father took on from him, and I would just see them hustling and being with the family at the same time.
Yep.
So it kind of really inspired me, and my grandmother reminded me this a couple of years ago, and she's like, you were 6 years old, Dinika, when you actually were just hanging out with all of us, and you were like, I want to be like my father. I want to do something in the family business and be like my father. Right. And it's interesting. And that moment of clarity came to me then. But I have been pursuing everything in my life since I remember the decisions, like, going to a school. I went from Kamal Convent to Modern Vasant Vihar because I felt like I would get more opportunities for exposure, which will enable me to go and study in the US.
Right.
I went and studied in University of Southern California, which is based in California, which is also the land of nuts.
Right.
And while I was there, I did a couple of internships at almond and pistachio companies.
Awesome.
And I made my business plan for Nutty Gritties over there in my senior year in the entrepreneurship program, came back and I implemented it.
Right. An interesting story. And I remember you mentioning this somewhere that you were thinking of a name. So how did the name Nutty Gritty actually come about?
So I was actually working on my business plan and submitting the business plan. And the night before that, I was at our library. It's the Levy Library. And just stomping up and down, called up a friend of mine who was actually majoring in marketing.
Right.
And I was like, Rahat, I need a name and I'm not able to come up with a name for this business plan. And again, it's not something that I just wanted to do for the sake of doing it, right? Authenticity was always like one of my values, and I wanted to focus and do the right thing. So spent a couple of hours brainstorming, and then I was like, we need to get into the nitty gritty of the product. And then that was a light bulb moment. Nice. Nitty gritty, Nutty Gritties.
Yeah. Love that. And you were truly one of the first people who I was aware who came into the space and had a brand identity in mind. You had a plan in mind, and you've stuck to that and you've scaled that, right? So what was the early days like? Because when you came in, consistency in packaging, consistency in brand, consistency across so many areas. What were some of the initial challenges, and how do you overcome those?
So, it's very interesting that the business plan that I made in 2009 is what I'm really working on truly implementing even today.
Nice.
the thought was that we should be present where the consumer would need us the most, and they don't know that they would need us.
Right.
But we would play to their subconscious and be available. So you're in a meeting and you're hungry, but you want to snack on something healthy, and you don't know that you'd need that at that moment.
Right.
But can we be present in that corporate office? Can
Right.
we be present in the vending machine?
So
Can
true.
we be present in cafes and theaters?
Right.
So way before any of these cafes started selling nuts along with their coffees, we were there. We did our first deal with one of the cafe chains.
Correct.
We were there at airports from the very beginning. So, this is something that we started on very early on, and it's something that we're doing and scaling even today, which has actually helped us differentiate. But there were a lot of other challenges because people were not used to looking at nuts as their everyday snack.
Agreed.
Right? They were used to soaking it overnight, having it in the morning, gifting it during Diwali
So true.
and weddings. There were so many myths around it. And summer would come and there would be a severe dip in sales.
Right.
Winter would come and there would be a boost in sale.
Right.
All driven by only the basics.
The seasonal demand, for
The
example.
seasonal demand
Right.
and also your basic almonds, cashew,
Right.
pista, walnuts. What we wanted to do is add some flavor to it, modernize the traditional nuts.
Right.
We came up with trail mixes. We were the first ones to launch trail mixes in
Nice.
India. We were the first ones to launch flavors like barbecue almonds and Thai
remember
chili
that.
blend
Mhm.
and pepper cashews. And people loved those flavors.
Right.
They loved it as an occasional snack.
Yeah.
But what we really wanted is to make it an everyday snack, and that took some time. And other challenges that we faced were also we placed the product in retail stores, right?
Right,
And
right.
little did I know as a 22, 23-year-old when I started the business. I mean, when I went to all these corporate offices of Walmart and Reliance and Big Bazaar at that time
Fair.
and stuff like that, and they all bought into the vision and the passion and
Brilliant.
the belief in the product. But we were the first premium packaged nuts brand trying to do flavors and trail mixes. So they're like, okay, makes sense. Let's give them some space on the retail shelves.
Right.
But getting the offtake from the shelves was a challenge because people would start looking at the pack and be like, oh, if 200 grams is for this much, this is
Sure.
what 1 kg would be for.
Sure.
We were competing with the almonds that were selling in bins, and how would we convince the customer that there's so much more that goes into creating this packaged product, whether from a quality standpoint or whether from an R&D standpoint, to bring the best, tastiest quality nuts
Right.
was a differentiator.
Totally get it. And, and I'm thinking back to the time, and of course, we have a firm which is in the gifting space. So
Yeah.
going back, maybe about 25 years, dry fruits would mean that red box, with the golden, divider, and there would be like, the kaju, the badam, the kishmish, and, maybe the pistas, etc. And it was always that, right? And if you look at today, what's happening in terms of, the packaging, in terms of, the branding, it's truly moved from something that was just a festive gift to something we consume every day.
Absolutely. That's been the exciting part in the journey is because people got aware about their health. They've been health conscious, especially after COVID, and before COVID, because of the struggles that we had in terms
Right.
of acceptance of the product, we
Right.
focused more on innovation,
Right.
which is actually one of our values as well.
Right.
We built a solid foundation and a solid base of products.
Right.
We were always product first, operations first, and finance first company.
Right.
COVID hit and we had the right products at the right place at the right time. When people were looking for something healthy to snack on, which was familiar territory, because they knew we did not have to convince them that badam aapke liye acha hai. We did not have to convince them that
Correct.
have a fistful of dry fruits. We had the product packaged in a hygienic form. And that's what made a huge difference.
Right.
10 years in building a consumer brand is actually nothing, especially when you have a long-term vision.
Of course.
And we've spoken about this. I
Yeah.
think it's been
Yeah.
25 years for you as well.
It has been.
And when you reflect back on your journey, you feel like 10 years, I was just laying down my foundation.
100%.
And our hockey stick growth actually happened after the 10 years because we had that base that was ready.
Love that. And again, so when you decided that this is what you want to do, and I know you have very supportive, family initially, and, was there any kind of, let's say, doubt in their mind? Because traditional Khadi Bauli business, right? And anyone who's been to Chandni Chowk and seen what Khadi Bauli is, like you mentioned, it's almost, stuff is sold in bins or, by the truckload. And here now you're saying that this is the idea that I have. So was there ever any pushback from the family?
So my family was very supportive, and I guess they were supportive because they wanted to support their child. and they humored my business plan and my business idea. Although when it comes to business, they are very particular, of course, and that's what I've learned from my father and my grandfather.
Right.
And my father sells 20 tons at one time. For me, selling 200 grams at one time was exciting.
Correct.
So to get him to buy into that excitement
Right.
was tough. It took me over 10 years to convince him that it is very exciting to even sell one pack of 40 grams, which is actually going to solve for a one-time snacking need of a consumer.
Right.
Although, I was at it. I was not deterred by any kind of resistance. In fact, it fueled me even more because I was so convinced about the product. I was so convinced because globally, people are consuming this product as a snack.
Of course.
In India, 95% of the consumption was all traditional.
Correct.
There had to be growth, right?
Yeah.
This category had to evolve. There was no other way. So like the retailers, like the buyers, even my family kind of bought into my vision.
Nice.
And I'm glad that they questioned me along the way. Even today, when my father questions me about some numbers, I am very happy because that actually gives me the ability to kind of tap in more into the finances and understand how can we do better.
Yeah, I think it's important because it's a reality check. Because sometimes, and I think we've spoken about this a few times, that a lot of people who come into the space today are so driven by the metrics of top line, and they just care about visibility. There's just no focus on the bottom line aspect of stuff, and as a result, when things get hard, which at certain points they can, then it's a business that's no longer sustainable.
100%. That is very, very, very important. And that's something that I learned as well. And we focused on bottom line from the very first year.
Right.
And thankfully, we were green over there from the very first year.
Awesome.
We focused on small wins and slower growth. And even today, there were times when, especially after COVID happened, when the entire D2C ecosystem started.
Right.
We started D2C when the D2C term was not there.
Yep.
We started marketing when Instagram was not a channel.
So true.
We started selling when online was not a platform.
Right.
So we had done things. We've actually seen 3 different cycles of growth and the way that you can build a consumer brand. Going back to the bottom line was extremely important. And even till today, it's one of our tenets to be frugal, to focus on that, to focus on the throughput. Because it's very easy to dump stock in the market. There are a lot of channels that you'll be able to sell at and you'll get the top line. But then when you see the cycle of the entire sale, which is 6 months or 1 year, then you'll get to see the real picture. But my mentors early on actually taught me that I should look at my P&L every single day.
Awesome.
So I actually started that practice very early on in the business as well.
Right.
And that's what kept us, the way it's kept us. It actually enabled us to focus on omni-channel presence and omni-channel distribution.
Right.
Not only one single channel, because you cannot put all your eggs in one basket.
Agree completely. And it's very interesting because you're someone who has tapped them all, right? So you have modern retail, you have traditional retail, you have quick commerce, you have e-commerce, and you have B2B. So you pretty much, tapped it all. What really excites you the most right now? Which channel is it like, okay, this is, still my favorite, my go-to?
So the channel that is the greenest, of course. So, from one perspective, of course, I have to look at the P&L and the balance sheet.
Right.
And you have to look at the most profitable channel. But you also have to look at the channel where there's maximum potential to scale.
Right.
And that is quick commerce. I think that is a channel that is super exciting.
It is.
We end up selling thousands of packets a day on that channel. That is really actually solving the need of the consumer of an impulse healthy snack, which is what the business plan was based on. And I'm actually very grateful to the entire startup ecosystem of India, the way that they've actually cracked quick commerce, the way that they've cracked that 10-minute delivery. Whenever I talk in global conferences, I always share this thought that, at times when I'm making my morning tea and I realize that I don't have the biscuits, I just place an order on quick commerce until the time my tea is ready, the biscuits have arrived. So I know that I'm selling nuts here, but, it's just... It's actually something that has changed the game of consumption in India.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, globally, and I spend a lot of time in the States and Europe as well. When we tell them this is what we have, they're like, how is that even possible? Right? For them, I mean, Amazon one-day delivery is still, the pinnacle of experience in terms of, when you say 10 minutes, they just don't get it. But I think that's one place where India is really led the charge, and exciting things happening there for sure.
100%, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, I totally believe, the most, convinced are the most convincing. And hence, I'm sure, was never a problem convincing, the family and even some of the big brands that you mentioned, earlier. But when you were heading into uncharted territory, let's say a market that you, never really had tapped before, and there's maybe even a kirana store, and you're telling them to, hold your products or stock your products. Any interesting experiences that happen around there where, people are like, why should we do this? And, how were you able to convince them?
So it's actually really interesting because, within India, we have like 4, 5, 6 different kind of Indias. We actually tapped into the Northeast retail market as well. And till today, when I speak to my team who's on the ground there,
right.
I learned so much about the consumption patterns over there. Just to give you an example, we have 2 products which are women-centric, a mom's superfood trail mix and a women's health mix. And recently I was sitting with my RSM from Northeast, and he actually told me that these are in our top 5 products. But in a Delhi, this would be like between 10 to 15. In West, it would be between 10 to 15 as well. And then when I started talking, he's like, because it is a matriarchal society and the decision makers are women. So that's why they're actually buying more of this for their retail shelves and selling more of this on their shelves. Even with retail, what I've learned is that it's a gold mine in India. You have to actually tap into the sentiment of the distributor and the retailer and the salesperson. Because you can have the best product that's available out there. But if they don't buy into your vision, you will not succeed.
Agreed.
So it's been such a great learning experience to actually understand people's mindsets from across the country. And we're still doing it. And which is what excites me to keep building in India, keep penetrating deeper, because I feel like the family businesses who've actually kept our country afloat. And retail is a huge aspect of it, right? There is so much to learn from there. With the new generation that's coming in, even in retail, the mom and pop stores, they're actually enhancing the experience of the retail stores. They're making them more modern trade stores, small format modern trade stores. And I feel like that's another channel that excites me a lot because there is a lot of potential that exists. In Siliguri, in fact, I visited Siliguri last year. And this one next generation in the business, they were actually in the broomstick business. Their family is in a broomstick business, but the next generation came in and he's like, I want to set up a retail store around it. He set up a retail store. It took him a couple of years. And last year when I visited, he had a 4-story retail store in the middle of a Siliguri market. And it was doing really good numbers. Lakhs of sale per day.
And Siliguri is also very strategic, right? Because I know because my in-laws are in Bagdogra. And they've been a tea family, etc. So it's also so strategically placed. Like everyone is coming from Sikkim and the Northeast. It's almost like, that hub. So totally, does make sense. And I think like that, there are just so many places in small town India which have such tremendous, opportunity. I mean, jewels that have not been explored. Are you seeing a big explosion even in terms of the purchasing power or the aspiration of small town India? So it's not only about, the tier 1 cities anymore. It's actually, 2, 3 and beyond as well. What are you seeing there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with the advent of social media. Earlier people wouldn't have access to information what's happening across the country or across the world. But now the Gen Z and the young millennials who are based in small town India, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, they're seeing what's happening across the world and they're aspirational and tapping into that aspirational consumer who has money. Because there are a lot of townships there, there's a lot of industrial towns. Where there is no dearth of money. And we actually see that the consumption over there is really high. Whether it's towns like Raipur, Nagpur, Ludhiana, Patiala, Mandi, Gobindgarh. It's pretty surprising. Jammu. It's incredible. Gujarat is incredible as well, right? It's not small town India anymore, but like every city has evolved so much in the last 10, 15 years.
Even like a Rajkot, for example.
Rajkot. Exactly. We've had the same distributor in Rajkot since the last 6 years. And we've seen the way that consumption has gone up over there as well. And even their selection of choices. In fact, speaking of the distributor from Rajkot, when we do limited editions and we do that only for our D2C channel, or we'll do like a truffle caramelized mixed nuts with macadamias and pecans. he would see it and he's like, "Madam, ye mujhe bhijwa do, please." You know, the selection of products that they're also looking for,
Right.
it's all coming from the demand that they're getting from consumers, right?
Right.
So they are more excited about the innovation.
Nice. And what's your team looking like right now? How many people do you have? I know Shwarya's on, and that's your sister, is also a part of the business as well.
Right.
But what's the overall structure looking like? How many people on the team? Because that's another thing that people struggle with. So people and process.
I struggle with it every day as well. And I think it's a very normal entrepreneur problem.
Right.
And, cracking that is not an overnight process.
Right.
I think it takes time, especially in an ecosystem which is so dynamic, not
Right.
only within your own organization, but within the country, within this world where people are seeing so much mental health issues. There's so much awareness.
Yeah.
People want to discover themselves more. They also want to kind of test out the market
Right.
and test the waters before they jump in.
Right.
And both ways, right?
Of course.
So that's why I'm actually a big believer of building leadership from within the organization.
Awesome.
We have about 110 people, and the people who actually have performed the best for us in the company are the people who have joined me from the scratch, from the bottom, and who've been there around since 15 years, since 10 years. In fact, yesterday we were having a conversation with my first employee who was in charge of production.
Okay.
And someone commented that, he's the best salesperson in your organization. So
Love that. Yeah.
I think that as entrepreneurs, we need to start looking at team building very differently.
Very true.
The market is getting very competitive. It is very dynamic.
Yeah.
People are discovering more aspects of themselves.
Correct.
And I feel like there's no cookie cutter way of building teams anymore.
Right.
Leadership can be built from within.
100%.
But what's most important is to set the right tone of the culture. For us, it's authenticity, it's honesty,
Right.
it's hunger, it's joy and fun and health. So if people are aligned with this, we're very happy to enable and empower their growth.
Love it. So true. And I keep telling people this when I'm speaking at forums. I said that if there's one thing that's missing today is authenticity and that trust deficit. I'm like, that
Absolutely.
trust deficit is just the biggest thing. People will come out and they'll promise the world. And when it comes to delivering, it's like, wow, it's just such a big miss.
100%.
Yeah. And I think you're right. The fact that, you have people who'll buy into your vision and your culture, priceless.
Yeah, because once that happens, then sky is the limit.
Yeah.
And, as entrepreneurs, it's very important for us to kind of offload the number of things that we're thinking about.
Right.
And for me, trust is very important.
Yeah.
And as soon as I kind of have doubt in trust, then it's hard to kind of work.
Do you ever hire from within the industry?
No.
Okay, interesting, because that's something that we've believed in very strongly as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we feel people are jumping, just for that better package and and all of that as well. And I feel that if someone's doing it just for the money, it's a mercenary, right? But if someone totally believes and has that buy-in, I think that money is secondary and it's about the bigger picture. And I see that with your organization as well.
Yeah. And it's all long-term vision, right? And you've interacted with a bunch of people from our organization as well, and you've also seen the way that they've grown. And another reason why we don't hire from the industry is because we believe that we have a creator mindset. We don't want people to come in with a bias. We want people to come with fresh perspectives.
Agreed.
And we love getting new perspectives in.
Right.
That's how there will be innovation, right? Because innovation is one of our backbones.
Right. And what's happening in the space of, let's say, data, analytics, today even AI, how are you using these elements? Because just the scale that you're now operating at, the geographies, and like you mentioned, buying patterns are south vis-a-vis the northeast and the north, etc., very different. So is data and analytics and AI playing a big role as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that all our decisions are backed by data, even if it's something small as what to put in a gift pack. How to structure a catalog.
Right.
It's all based on data. And thanks to, e-commerce, Q-commerce, D2C,
Right.
you have data.
Yep.
And it's all about also understanding what the customer wants, right? Like having a customer first approach.
Right.
That's also data.
Yeah.
We might think, and I keep telling my team this as well, that we can sit in a boardroom and discuss and want to implement things that, let's do this, or let's launch this product, or let's
Right.
keep this price, or whatever. But then you have to go out there in the market and understand what the market wants and respond to that market.
Right.
And that all comes from data.
Agree. What's your advice to D2C entrepreneurs? People who are coming in and again bootstrapped. You've always been bootstrapped, but bootstrapped. Funded. What's your top piece of advice to D2C brands? Because there's just so much happening in the space. I was talking about the gift fair, where there was probably about 700 stalls and 150 were D2C brands in some capacity or the other.
Yeah.
And for them, it almost seemed like, अच्छा नहीं किसी भी rate पे order उठा लो. बस हमने turnover बढ़ाना है. And I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, I don't know how long this is really going to be sustainable. But what's your advice to D2C brands?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's very right. Firstly, pricing can never be a strategy if you want to be successful.
Right.
And my second piece of advice is that to be very focused. I've seen in the last 15 years, a lot of brands fail when they try to do too much too soon.
Yeah.
We've had conversations with people in the startup ecosystem and
right.
investors who are like, which product are you going to launch? Which new category are you going to enter in 3 months? I said, none. I'm not going to enter a new category in the next 5 years.
Fair.
Till the time that we don't achieve 80% of what we've set out to achieve, we're not going to do anything new. People are always trying to do new things.
Agreed.
Right? So you have to learn to say a lot of no's and be
Right.
focused, narrow, and deep. Because
Right.
entering a new category means building up the inventory, investing in packaging material, investing in design, investing in team, training the team,
Of course.
and marketing that product.
Yeah.
These are all hidden costs that you don't see. Operational efficiency comes in when you're focused, narrow, and deep.
Love
So
that.
that's my biggest advice to D2C companies. And when my friends also come into me, I'm like, don't start with more than 3 products.
Yeah.
And don't do anything fourth till the time you don't succeed in these 3.
Love that. And how many SKUs do you now have at Nutty Gritty?
We have 45.
Yeah, not bad. Not
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
And what we do every day or every week is we try to cut it down. We're like, what can we not do?
Awesome.
In fact, even on Q-commerce, instead of, there are people who come in and they're like, oh, just add more SKUs and your sale will increase.
Right.
But it's actually contradictory. You
Yeah.
reduce your SKUs and your sale will increase.
Right. Yeah. I think too many choices will confuse and
Also,
yeah.
another thing for D2C, right, or for quick commerce, when you're trying to showcase a product or market a product, there's performance marketing, right? And then you have to showcase every single product of yours.
Right.
So you have to bid on multiple keywords for multiple products.
Correct.
So identify what products are actually doing well
Right.
and put all your effort into those few products.
And you've been very strategic in your placement, even with airlines, railways.
Yeah.
I think back in the day, you'd put out this video where Dhoni was having your nuts, right, on an
Yeah.
Indigo flight and all of that.
Yes.
So has this been strategic from the perspective of brand building, or does it even make economic sense?
Of course, it makes economic sense as well.
It does.
So that's also one of our tenets as well.
Right.
We will not do anything for vanity only, for numbers only,
Right.
or just for brand building.
Right.
It has to be green. We actually believe that every single transaction of every single SKU on any platform
Right.
has to make money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will not do it. And
Right.
it's very important to have this discipline because we have to build a business to last.
100%.
It's great and it's strategic and
Yeah.
it's amazing because, in a tray full of 15 different products,
You picked
when
those.
the air hostess takes it to someone like Dhoni and he
Correct.
picks out Nutty Gritties,
Yeah.
that's just proof of the pudding that we're doing the right thing, we're focusing on the right product.
Yeah.
And people like Dhoni are actually consumers.
Right.
There are celebrities who are already consumers of ours, whether it's sports people, whether it's actors,
Right.
whether it's fitness influencers.
Right.
We go and talk to these people and they're like, oh yeah, we're already consuming your Nutty Gritties trail mixes.
Right.
So product first, and then it has to make business sense.
Agreed.
Anything that we do has to make business sense.
Yeah, I think that's very valuable advice, for anyone listening in and looking to start a business. Something to be said about how, businesses are traditionally run. Today it's very easy to, just come in for the, glamour and the glory of it. But there is something to be said about, the conventional mindset that you have to create a profit in every transaction. I mean, even at Consortium, there's so many people who've come in the gifting space and they've come and they've gone, and very large, funded companies. Even today, there's a transaction that we're in the midst of and they're like, oh, you guys quoted this and, XYZ funded, company has come in and they're quoting 20% less. I'm like, that's crazy. I said, our margin's 10%. So are they actually taking a haircut of 10% and going to put that out of their own pocket?
Yeah.
He's like, nahi, wo growth ke liye to kar hi rahe hain, and attention ke liye to kar hi rahe hain. Unko ye client mil jaye to bada acha hoga. I'm like, dude, that just makes zero sense to me.
And the clients will come back to you, and seen it with you as well, right? Like you've had so many amazing clients who always come back to you. There is so much competition that's come up in the gifting space, but why have they come back to you? Because your fundamentals are right. You focus on great service. You focus on great product. And why would they not come back?
Yeah. Agreed. And I tell them, I said that, we've been there for a long, long time. Companies have come and companies have gone. And I don't know if, it's the right choice, but sure. I mean, it's a commercial decision end of the day. If you have, this chief procurement officer who's picking up like 50,000 units and he's saving $20, then he's going to go back to his CEO or CEO and tell him that, hey, I saved the organization, 10 lakh rupees on this transaction. Maybe it makes commercial sense at that point, but I just think in the long term, it's not sustainable.
Not at all.
And you've had a lot of attention, right? Where people have come to you and they've actually asked to invest, but you've always been turning them down, right? What's the thought process been behind that?
I gave you an example, for instance, I had a conversation and the question to us was, which new category are you going to enter in 3 months? So then very early on, I realized that if there's misalignment of vision and values, then there cannot be a collaboration there.
Right.
And the startup ecosystem was looking at things very differently. And fair enough, they have a timeline that they want to work with. And it just doesn't align with us. Plus, I like to be the captain of my own ship. I would not like anybody to kind of try to impact the vision because of some numbers that they need to prove to their investors.
Agreed.
And thankfully, because we focused on fundamentals, because we've been profitable since year one, it allowed me that freedom to take that decision.
Love that.
And we've stayed away from that, and we've done pretty well so far.
Nice. No, I think that's very commendable because there are people who I believe have been in the same boat as you, and yet they chose, that route. And another route that a lot of people today are taking is the SME IPO or, even the IPO route. And I'm like, it's a lot of responsibility because even if you do an SME IPO, okay, of course, you're profitable and all that is great, but there's a lot of pressure to scale in a way where in 3 years, you have to go from an SME to a main board.
Exactly.
And for that to happen, there's going to be a lot of compromises that you're going to have to make in terms of, time, money, accountability. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one of our tenets is long-term vision, but with a short-term mindset. So we always also see that what do we need in the next 3 months? What does the business need in the next 3 months? And if it doesn't need that in the next 3 months, and if we can do something in a frugal way, because, a lot of times companies fail from indigestion. When they get too much money, they don't know what to do with it.
So true.
They start spending in ways that don't need to be done.
Right.
So we think and we evaluate that, do we need this in the next 3 months or 6 months? Does it fuel our long-term vision?
Right.
If not, then...
Right. Like brand ambassadors come on board and, their brands, of course, everyone knows who they are, but they picked up like the Messis of the world and, whatnot. And then that company today is gone, right? Because at the time the money was available and you just go out there and do some, not so smart things.
And it's very unfortunate because a lot of these businesses built great products.
Yeah.
But they failed because they failed to focus on the fundamentals.
Right.
And at the end of the day, going back to our business studies that we studied in school.
Correct.
You have to focus on the fundamentals. I keep talking about it. I keep going back to that point.
Yeah. So true. All right. So we have a bit of a rapid fire. And first thing that comes to your mind, one word, one sentence, whatever that is. So let's see how that plays out.
Do I get a hamper in the end?
Of course, 100%. You're at with consortium. That is
absolutely.
a given,
I get
right?
consortium gifts.
Alrighty. So almonds or walnuts?
Almonds.
Okay. First thing you do when you get to work?
Plan my day.
Podcast or playlist while working out?
Playlist.
And you're very active on exercise and everything else as well,
I am,
right?
yeah.
One destination on your travel bucket list which you still haven't done?
Japan.
Nice. Shark Tank India. Would you rather be someone who's pitching or be a shark?
Shark, for sure.
Yeah. A D2C brand besides your own that you really admire?
Okay. Wow, that's not rapid, but D2C brand that I admire.
Or just a brand that you admire, not necessarily in the food stuff space.
A brand that I really admire is Lululemon.
Yeah.
It's an activewear brand.
Yeah. And they have a presence in India shortly. I think they're coming in.
They're coming in to India shortly.
Yeah.
But it's a vibe, and building a brand is actually more about aligning with the energy, building an energy, building a vibe. And that's what people buy into. And I feel like Lululemon's done that so well while focusing on the product as well, because their product is impeccable.
Yeah.
I would go in and keep buying things again and again.
Right.
And I work out a lot, right? And everything in my wardrobe is Lululemon.
Nice.
Or Aloe.
Yep.
So it's these two brands.
Yep.
And that is because their quality is great.
Of course.
And they make me feel good.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Which is what it's all about, end of the day.
Yeah.
A book that changed how you think about business.
Recently, I actually read this book called The Surrender Experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by this author called Michael A. Singer.
Mm-hmm.
And he went from $300 a month to just moving into the woods, not knowing what he's going to do,
Really?
to actually building $1 billion company.
Wow.
All by a simple principle, which is surrender. So I'm actually trying to apply this principle to business as well.
Awesome.
And just align with the energy. I focus a lot on actually how it feels to me,
Right.
how it feels to my gut.
Right.
And do I align with the energy while saying yes to the project or the person?
Nice. Love it. And so that's going to be on my reading list for sure.
You must read it.
Yeah. One quote that you live by.
Whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, or enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass.
Love that.
So it's
Powerful.
again about energy, it's about manifestation, it's about the universe.
Right.
So I actually live by the whole concept of energy.
Love it. The most used app on your phone.
The most used app, well, right now it's ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great because it actually just helps me structure my thoughts
So
and
true.
polish my thoughts.
Are you having conversations with it as well? Like using the voice function and all of that?
I'm not using the voice function as much. I was trying to yesterday and then it just failed like 3-4 times. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to type. I'm more of a typer.
Right.
I love journaling and I
Yeah.
love just writing my thoughts down.
Right.
So it kind of helps me to just journal my thoughts as well. It's become like my secondary journal.
Awesome. Yeah, there's big things happening over there. I mean, if you now see how the agent function, for example, is working,
Yeah.
and nuts. I mean, I think what's happening in the AI space and with ChatGPT 5.0, that's coming up next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you using it for your business?
So I use a lot of tools. We're using a lot for prospecting. We're using a lot for outreach. We're using a lot for content creation. We're using a lot of audio and video. So we have almost 30 different tools that are with different people in the organization, and they're all playing around with them. Mm-hmm. So even our sales team in the morning calls, they have a morning call 9 a.m. They're all talking about one tool that they're currently using and what's happening. So by rotation. So we're big on AI.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, your one hidden talent that not many know about.
Hidden talent. Well, I'm actually still discovering various talents in myself and something that I enjoy doing, which is either painting or singing. It just de-stresses me.
Nice.
I don't know if it's really a talent, but it's
Yeah.
something that I enjoy doing.
Works. The most underrated Nutty Gritties product.
The most underrated Nutty Gritties product, dates. Our medjool dates.
Right.
I feel like it's the best quality dates that's out there.
Right.
And it needs to be consumed much more.
Yeah. Yeah, there's almost not that much acceptance for dates, at least in this part of the world, right? Like in the Gulf, it's crazy. Like you go to Dubai and everyone's having dates, but
Yeah.
here it's somehow it hasn't had that kind of penetration.
Yeah, it hasn't because of the lack of awareness, I feel, which is also increasing in the entire health and fitness circles.
Right.
Because people have started consuming it to give them a rush,
Yeah,
a sugar
yeah.
rush, or an alternative to, good energy.
Right.
And I feel like dates is much more than just consumption for religious reasons, for instance, which is
Right.
great.
Right.
But there are stories to that as well.
Right.
Why did they consume dates first thing in the morning? Because it gave sustained energy. And we have to actually pick up from the principles of why it was consumed during Ramzan, because it gave you energy
Right.
that lasted.
For the day, yeah.
And I feel like this is something that needs to go more out there.
Right.
And we actually use the best quality medjool dates from Saudi Arabia. And it's just really juicy and the right texture and the right
Nice.
sweetness.
Nice.
And it's like my favorite snack in the day now.
Right. So if you're listening in and you haven't bought Nutty Gritties dates, put that on your shopping list and your shopping card for sure. A movie that always lifts your mood.
I've been a big Shah Rukh Khan fan. So I just play one of his, 90s films,
Right.
like Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge or
Yeah.
Dil To Pagal Hai.
Yep. D2C in India or global export play? What excites you more right now?
Both. But if I have to look at the fundamentals of the business and the way that our business is growing,
Right.
I would say global export
Yeah.
would be very, very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just in fact, yesterday we actually got calls from 3 different countries.
Nice.
Kuwait, London, and New York.
Wow.
And
Congrats.
they were all actually saying that we have products out here, but not as the same quality as Nutty Gritties is doing. Because, people have been looking at nuts as a regular snack all over
Right.
the world.
Right.
But we've tapped into the entire sentiment of good quality and consuming it for traditional purposes,
Right.
and using that in the snack as well. So, even our trail mixes will have jumbo almonds and jumbo cashews,
Right.
whole almonds and whole cashews,
Right.
which is not the case anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So when people come from outside India and they have our Thai chili blend or our sports mix, for instance, they're like, wow, this is such a yummy and wholesome trail mix.
Nice.
And that's a thing that we're going to tap into as well.
Love that. One ritual that keeps you grounded during chaos whenever it does come up.
Meditation.
Yeah.
It's my daily ritual.
Yeah.
And it's not only grounding during chaos, but you actually have to be doing it consistently every single day so that when the chaos comes up, you don't feel like it's chaotic.
That's
you
powerful.
feel like it's part of life.
Correct. Correct. What's the moment that made you go, I was born to do this?
I actually love empowering and enabling people.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever people grow and they share a success or a small win from their life,
Right.
someone who's kind of grown within our ecosystem of DRB foods
Right, right.
and Nutty Gritties,
Yeah.
I feel incredible. Or even yesterday, actually, so we've built a community around Nutty Gritties, around holistic living and balance. And we're conducting a breathwork workshop this Sunday.
Right.
And I did a trial class with the teacher, and she actually sent a message on the group saying that it was incredible to be doing that trial class for an inspirational person
Nice.
like you. And I shared some feedback on how incredible that breathwork was, and it
Right.
grounded me instantly.
Right.
And 5 more people signed up for the workshop.
Love it.
So I felt like I was born to do this. I was born to connect people
Awesome.
to holistic living and wellness, and just be an inspiration to people around me.
Love that. What's one brand collab that's still on your wish list? Something that hasn't happened, but you think this is something I wish would happen for us.
I'd love to collaborate with Lululemon. It's my favorite brand
Yeah.
in the world. I'm the biggest consumer. I always have something of Lululemon on me. And I feel like there is a lot of alignment of values, and it would be a great collab.
Love that, and I'm sure like
Snacking.
you'll visualize and you'll make it happen. Now.
Oh, yes, that
and
I'm
now
going
that
to
they're coming
manifest
in,
it.
yeah.
Snacking on Nutty Gritties while walking out of a yoga studio in London wearing Lululemon.
Oh, 100% sure it's going to happen. Your proudest small win that felt bigger than any award.
I'm very excited about building the community right now, and a successful community event where people actually leave smiling and happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
That's the small win that keeps me going. And it's not about too many people.
Right.
It's 10, 15, 20 people.
Right.
But the energy that they come in with and the energy that they leave with is what is a game changer. Because it's all about actually creating a happier, fulfilling space for people.
Nice.
You know.
And last one, what advice would Dinika of 2025 give Dinika of 2015? So 10 years ago, what piece of advice would you give?
I would give myself the advice to just be more emotionally balanced and not react, because it's a waste of energy
Yeah.
to react.
And you seem very sorted on that side now. Like, you're not very reactive. I think you have a good poker face as well. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, because that's something I'm working on. Because usually, what's in my heart is on my face.
Right.
But I feel like being more balanced is actually going to help you conserve energy, so you can use that energy in the right places.
Awesome. Love it. No, super. And I'm sure like a lot of good insights came out of that one, for our listeners and viewers as well. Last few questions. I know we're close to about an hour now in the conversation. What's it looking like? What's the next few months and years looking like? You have expansion plans, new factory coming up. walk us through what's coming up next at Nutty Gritties.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in the process of building a new plant right now with almost 5 times the capacity, because that's what we see as a potential. What our team sees as a potential is that we have this plan for the next 5 to 7 years, but we have the ability to fulfill it in the next 3 years. We're looking at doing 100 crores this year.
Lovely.
So 500 crores is the next milestone after that. We're leaving the timing to the universe. And how we're going to do it is by expanding distribution within India, tapping into global export opportunities, and just saying yes to things that align with us, align with our energy by surrendering.
Awesome. I love it. I think that's, a great benchmark to go after. And, I love how you've got the 100 to 500 mapped out as well. I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah.
In terms of B2B, ways, let's say retail and e-com, just broadly, like what percentage of business is coming from which vertical, for you guys at the moment?
So online versus offline is almost like 50-50.
Okay.
Online is actually reducing for us because we are focused a lot on offline distribution, and it's not reducing in terms of numbers but percentages, because there's a lot of B2B opportunities that are coming up. We're expanding in distribution because again, that's the fundamental of building a consumer brand in India and the world. So 50-50.
Okay, not bad. And of course, you have your sister Ashwarya, who's very much a part of the business as well. How do you manage dynamics between the two of you? And is there a clear division of responsibilities, for example?
Yes, it's very important to have a clear division of responsibilities.
Right.
And she is currently managing the new plant project, and it's going well.
Okay, so she's more on the manufacturing side, and you're on the marketing side of things as well.
So, actually it keeps evolving, and I feel like that's also a culture within the company, is that even when she came in 8 years after I started the brand, she started off with marketing, she went into operations, currently she's doing plant, so even her role has evolved a lot. And then you also have to kind of identify that what is it that you truly enjoy doing.
Nice.
What aligns with what the business needs. So currently she is focused on the new plant project.
Nice. And you have a big female workforce at the organization as well, right? A lot of your packaging and a lot of your production processes are handled by a large woman population as well.
Absolutely. 90% of our workforce in terms of packaging and production is all females. A lot of them actually, this is the first job that they've had.
Right.
And they've been here since like 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and they are extremely happy. Just the other day when I was taking a round of our production unit, I saw the smiles on their faces. And I actually do this as a ritual while, going up and down the office.
Right.
I always greet them and I always tell them that I love them. And they actually say that they love me back.
Yeah.
And that is something that fuels my day completely.
Right.
Because that's the energy that's going into the product.
Love that.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. And again, I've seen your journey, and again, you've come a long way, and I'm sure this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a long way still to travel, and I'm sure it's definitely going to happen.
Absolutely. I think we've scratched the surface only right now. And when I think of my vision and my personal journey as well in terms of my career, I think 50 years ahead. I'm like, what am I going to be doing in my 80s?
Right.
How will the business be when I'm that age?
Yeah.
So that puts things into perspective. That actually enables me to make much better decisions and more balanced decisions.
Nice.
So I feel like in terms of what the business is capable of, what the brand is capable of, and what I'm capable of as well, we've just got started.
Love that. And in Aniket, you have a very supportive partner and I'm sure a teammate who's egging you on and pushing you forward as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. He's been a friend first, and we've supported each other in our journeys a lot. And we will continue to do that.
Awesome. Dinika, Bhatia Day, like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation. And yes, I haven't forgotten your hamper. So we do have, a few things, for you as well. So that's from Shantanu Nikhil. It's a women's scarf.
Thank you.
So, I hope you like that as well. And there's also a Shantanu Nikhil roller pen for penning down, your thoughts.
I love that. That's my favorite thing. So I'm going to start using it immediately.
I know you mentioned about journaling. So that's the scaling with GB Gold Planner. So it's got a pretty cool, that's something I created during the pandemic. And it's a great tool to actually, go ahead and work with. And of course, one of our mobile stand, so it just goes onto your laptop and gives you an additional screen as well. So
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And I have something for you as well.
Hey, thank
These
you.
are two of my favorite grab and go products.
Awesome.
This is the first trail mix that we came up with, which
Love it.
is the sports mix.
Awesome.
And after we launched it, it became a category in India.
Wow.
This is Southern Pepper Cashew Nuts,
Love
which
it.
is again our best-selling flavor, and people from all over the world now inquire about this product.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, thank you so much. And again, big fan of your products. And we sell so much Nutty Gritty at Diwali. And hopefully this year, we'll kind of do that as well.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but even, year round. And thank you for all the support. And thank you for coming down today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you and working with you since almost over a decade now.
Yeah.
And look forward to more decades.
100%.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Powerful conversation with a powerful lady who's going out there and really disrupting her space and doing some big things. I think someone you should definitely follow. We'll put in her social handles and also details about her company. Nutty Gritties everywhere. We don't have to mention where all they're available. They're on every quick commerce platform. They're on e-com. They're in retail. And follow Dinika because truly a lady who's going to go out there and do some big things, bigger things than she's already been doing. So.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you.
Pleasure. We have a very large viewership, but in conjunction to that viewership, the subscription on the podcast, well, there's some work to be done as well. In fact, 98% of our viewers are not subscribers to our channel. So if I can make a request to each and every one of you, if you find value in what we deliver, if you like the content that we bring on the podcast on Let's Chat with GB, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button and do share ahead as well. It will go a very, very long way in bringing a lot more guests, a lot more value content, and a lot more value to each and every one of you. Looking forward to having you as our subscribers. Thank you.